Welcome back to another exciting recap. Today, we're diving into the intricately woven tale of power, love, betrayal, and survival in Captivating the King. Set against the backdrop of a kingdom at war, we follow the journey of Crown Prince Jin Han as he navigates political intrigue, familial betrayal, and the pressures of leadership. In this video, we'll be recapping not one, but two thrilling episodes filled with suspense, dramatic revelations, and emotional confrontations. The story opens with Crown Prince Jin Han of Joseon preparing to recruit local soldiers for the impending war. However, his plans are abruptly interrupted by devastating news. The Qing Empire has triumphed over Joseon and is forcing them to break their long-standing alliance with the Ming dynasty. In a shocking twist, the Qing demand that Jin Han be taken as a hostage in exchange for peace. Even more astonishing, they appoint him as the successor to the throne, further complicating the power dynamics within the kingdom. Before departing for Qing, Jin Han has an emotional farewell with his brother, King Li's son, who begs him to return alive, despite the heavy burden of the situation. Their tearful goodbye sets the tone for the struggles Jin Han will face in a foreign land. Meanwhile, in the royal palace, the Queen Dowager, Jin Han's mother and stepmother to King Li's son, furiously opposes her son being sent away as a hostage. Her anger towards the king for allowing this to happen fuels a deeper resentment. On the other hand, the queen sees this as an opportunity to advance her own ambitions. In a calculated move, she quickly gives birth to a son, the Prince Royal, whom she plans to position as the next heir to the throne, effectively sidelining Jin Han. While in Qing, Jin Han is forced to adapt to his new life in captivity. Surprisingly, he forms an unlikely friendship with Prince Rui of Qing through their shared passion for the game of Badak. Their games become more than just a pastime. They serve as a means for Jin Han to negotiate and reduce the ransom on other Joseon hostages. His cunning and strategic approach in Badak wins him respect and admiration, and eventually, he is granted permission to return home to Joseon. Excited to reunite with his brother, Jin Han's hopes are shattered when he is greeted with cold indifference from King Li's son. Unknown to Jin Han, the king has been manipulated by the queen's brother, Kim Jong-bae, who has filled his head with lies. Kim Jong-bae convinces the king that Jin Han is conspiring with Prince Rui to seize the throne for himself. As the king's health deteriorates, Kim Jong-bae and Chief State Counselor Kong work behind the scenes to consolidate their power. Their scheme includes marrying Jong-bae's son, Myung-ha, to the king's daughter, Hasu, as a way to strengthen their political influence. As the king's illness worsens, Kim Jong-bae intensifies his efforts to crown the queen's son, the Prince Royal, as the rightful successor. Meanwhile, Jin Han struggles to find his place in a palace where he is viewed with suspicion. The Queen Dowager's growing concern for her son's safety clashes with the queen's ambitions, and the palace becomes a battleground for power and control. While Jin Han tries to navigate the treacherous political landscape, a mysterious Badak player appears, challenging nobles and winning every game. The player boldly declares that no one can defeat him except for Jin Han. Intrigued, Jin Han tracks the player down, only to be interrupted by Kim Jong-bae's men, who create a commotion. Jin Han steps in to defend the Badak player, but his efforts lead to the shocking revelation that the player is actually Hasu, the king's daughter, disguised as a man. Hasu, who sneaks out to play Badak in secret, uses her skills to earn money to pay ransoms for Joseon hostages still held by Qing. Despite her attempts to remain hidden, her path crosses with Jin Han's once again. As they grow closer, the tension between them intensifies. Jin Han, now aware of Hasu's true identity, is both intrigued and impressed by her courage and intelligence. Meanwhile, Myung-ha, Kim Jong-bae's son, becomes infatuated with Hasu and declares his intention to marry her. Hasu, however, refuses, knowing that Myung-ha could never defeat her in a game of Badak. Unfazed by her rejection, Myung-ha vows to win her hand in marriage, setting up another layer of conflict within the royal family. As Jin Han's situation becomes more precarious, the king's health continues to decline. Kim Jong-bae takes advantage of the king's weakened state, constantly planting seeds of doubt in his mind about Jin Han's loyalty. However, Jin Han remains steadfast in his loyalty to his brother. When he is finally granted an audience with the king, their conversation is emotionally charged. The king, paranoid and fearful, accuses Jin Han of plotting against him. But Jin Han's heartfelt plea for him to take his medicine softens the king's heart, if only briefly. In a parallel storyline, Hasu's growing feelings for Jin Han are evident, though she tries to hide them. She confides in her attendant, Hong Jiang, who teases her about her obvious affection for the crown prince. Hasu, however, brushes off the comments, determined to maintain her independence and focus on her mission to help the Joseon hostages. But as she and Jin Han continue to cross paths, their connection deepens, leaving her torn between her duties and her emotions. The tension in the palace reaches its peak when Kim Jong-bae and the queen push harder for the prince royal to be named the next heir. The ministers, wary of Kim Jong-bae's growing influence, begin to question his motives and quietly consider backing Jin Han as the legitimate successor. Meanwhile, Jin Han faces a moral dilemma. Should he fight for his rightful place as crown prince or step aside for the sake of peace? As the king's condition worsens, the palace becomes a hotbed of intrigue and betrayal. Jin Han's every move is scrutinized, and the stakes have never been higher. Hasu, conflicted about revealing her true identity to Jin Han, grapples with her feelings as the political landscape becomes increasingly dangerous. Will Jin Han be able to navigate these treacherous waters, or will he be swept away by the tide of ambition and deceit? And that concludes our deep dive into the latest 2 episodes of Captivating the King. The political intrigue is heating up, and Jin Han's journey is filled with intense challenges. With betrayal lurking around every corner and new alliances forming, there's no telling what will happen next. If you're as captivated by this story as we are, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on our next recap. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.